One federal government agency approved just 5% of those who filed for one of all religious exemptions to the vaccine mandate. And senior bureaucrats at that agency thought that was just too high. Today, I'll show you the exclusive access to information documents. You know, I think we have yet to see the full fallout from what I think could be one of the most societal decaying parts of these pandemic lockdowns and vaccine mandates. Think about it. What does it mean for our institutions if the moral, conscientious objectors, the ones who will not be cowed to emotional manipulation, financial extortion, or peer pressure, are the ones being purged from our workplaces? In the before times, these sorts of people were the ones appointed to positions of management and leadership because of their strong moral compasses. Yet in the times of mandates and lockdowns, they are the ones being fired for those excellent and desirable qualities. I worry about the future of academia, the military, healthcare, police forces, and government agencies when all the people who resisted on conscience, the free thinkers, are gone from leadership positions, and the compliant, uncritical, and obedient are the ones left in their places. I think it will be a very long time before we can even measure the extent of these losses for society. And today I can show you what it was like at one federal government agency for those who wanted to retain their bodily autonomy, who chose the hard way because it was the right way for them. I know, it's hard to feel empathy for a government bureaucrat, but these were the good ones. And now they're gone. And what does that leave in their place? A homogenous, liberal, compliant workplace where no one thinks like you do, completely unreflective of the Canadian population, but a mirror image of the Liberal Party of Canada. You see, we filed for an access to information request with several government agencies about how many and to whom they granted vaccine mandate religious exemptions, if they granted any at all. We did this all through your generous crowdfunded donations to our very special investigations website at rebelinvestigates.com. So thank you to those of you who made this important work possible. Now, we recently received a response back from the Canada Revenue Agency, yes, the CRA. We asked the CRA for the number of employees who requested a religious exemption from the COVID-19 vaccine, including the total number of requests denied and the total number of religious exemptions that were ultimately granted nationally and provincially and at the Montreal office of the CRA. Only 32 people of the 550 who requested an exemption were granted, though the footnotes mention that the numbers don't even include the people who left the agency or were placed on leave or who ultimately gave in and got jabbed. So the stats would actually be even worse than what we're looking at here. 550 people in just one government agency were subject to a religious inquisition about their sincerely held religious beliefs at the hands of the state in an allegedly free society. And some drone claimed to have been able to see into the soul of these workers and determined their truth that lie in their hearts. What qualifies these drones to do this? How many scholarly theologians do you think they have on the clock down there at the CRA? These are just CRA managers, not priests or pastors. How could they even think that they could make these decisions? They could have objected to cross-examining their colleagues on their religious views in the workplace because it's gross, but we know they're not the conscientious objector type, right? This is the kind of thing that they do in China, not in Canada, but it gets worse. The footnotes also mention that the CRA thinks that their own managers gave too many religious exemptions and are now investigating the managers. 32 exemptions, just 5% of those who filed for one. But according to these people, that was too much. And now the managers who were apparently too lenient are subject to an inquisition of their own. It's unbelievable. This should have never happened. And that's why Rebel News is fighting back in partnership with our friends and allies at the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund. We are taking these unconstitutional vaccine mandates to court. To see our reporting and to support the fight for medical freedom, please consider making a tax-deductible donation at fightvaccinepassports.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Today's story details what it was like to work at the CRA and ask for a religious exemption to the vaccine mandate. Now think about it. This happened in government agencies, municipally, provincially, and federally, all across the country. And then it spilled over into private companies where employees were subject to religious inquisitions and interrogations by their managers. It is atrocious. It shouldn't happen in a free society, and that's why we're fighting back. If you'd like to help us, please make a tax-deductible donation at fightvaccinepassports.com.